My name is Joanna Rao. I'm your MLS manager. Typically, I am accompanied by Jason Jacobs. He is your
Into
MLS
today's
director.
topic.
He is
So
on
today we
the
are looking specifically at the Realist tool. The Realist is a tool that, like the others, provides data, provides property information, but it provides a little bit of a different aspect to it. What you really could use Realist for is one, pulling data just for informational purposes, whether it's for your marketing, your need to know, conversation pieces, whatever that may be. Property data on specific properties. So that would help you get ready for a listing appointment, or maybe you are listing something, you're on the buyer's end, you're, doing a full investigation on a property that your buyers have fallen in love with. Get into that granular detail of a specific property. And third, one of my favorite pieces to use it for is prospecting, farming, marketing, pulling out labels, mailers, things like that, which would be the beginning stages of it. But everybody loves it for different things. We all use it for different things, different aspects of the business. I'm going to go through all three of those with you today. All right, so the quickest way to get to Realist to access all the features of this tool is going to be right here on your dashboard. These are all in the same order for everybody. So it'll be top row in the middle right here. If you decide that this is one of your favorite tools, you can add it to your favorites and always put it at the top of your dashboard here. You can see I have a few tools favorited there. Just a reminder that that is an option for you so that you don't have a big blank square right here every time that you log in. So clicking that tile will bring us right into the Realist dashboard. I do want to point out that all of your public record data that you see inside of Matrix is fed through the Realist tool. So if you are ever looking at a property and you pull the tax tab or the flood tab, a lot of those tabs will link into this Realist tool or a landing page that exists within within this tool that looks slightly different. But all that information is in here because it has a direct feed to the public record along with the Matrix MLS system. So a newer feature here, if you've been with the MLS system for a while, we've had Realist for a very long time. It used to just bring you right to the search. So you could just kind of get right to the property, right to the data, look at what you need to look at. We now have this beautiful dashboard so that if you are working within the Realist system on a regular basis, you can kind of customize what you're looking at, your algorithm, your data, what analytics you're seeing. So it gives us a market temperature right here at the beginning. You can see that like we're kind of dead center. I know a lot of people are talking about how it's slow, things like that. We were like, for a while further this way, it was a hot seller's market, especially, the COVID years, and it's kind of making its way a little bit more towards the buyer's market, but we're still right there in that yellow spot. And this is pulling in everything that is in the matrix system, right? So this isn't just doing any kind of specific area. So quick stats here, you can select a county and change out the county for what you're looking at, but it'll give you some demographics here to look at and give you the trend set here. Is it up? Is it down? By what percentage? And this is the 90-day trend. It also then breaks these statistics down into average sales price, the change in the MLS search activity. There's industry news here. You can save properties specifically, market insights, and you can also move this dashboard around and put things where you want them. You can turn off widgets, you can drag the widget, and then you can manage the settings within those widgets as well. And if you're going to utilize this dashboard, you can really make it into exactly what it is that you need. But most of us, myself, I come out here and I go right for that search feature up here at the top, which is where the tool used to land you automatically, but now you've got some added features in there. So first and foremost, I'm going to go through with you guys how to use this search. I think a lot of us come out here, we just use the basic search, we just pull up a property, we look at the details, we get out. But you can really customize these searches out here, save multiple searches into what's going to fit your niche the best. So quick search is what's automatically highlighted. And in here, you can search property address, the owner name, maybe you're pulling up something that's already listed, so the MLS listing number, or the PID that's right out of the public record. This is going to allow you just quickly to pull up a property, get into those details as you need. But maybe what you're doing is not just pulling up a specific property. Maybe what you're doing is, you're trying to get some data, you're trying to do some research or anything like that. you want to come over here and highlight my search. And this is where you can truly build out a customizable search. If you've saved any search types before, those will be up here. You can see we've done some different class examples, so those have saved here. So I could pull up something I've done before, and it'll automatically put the fields down here below. Now, if you have not done one before, you can click create a new search and customize out your search, or you can click here to edit one that you are currently in. So we'll start here where most of you are going to go if you haven't used the program before. We're going to click create new search. And what this does is opens up a window of every single field that exists inside of Realist. And this is the part that, for us nerds, is really exciting. And this is where the magic happens. There are a lot of fields out here. I suggest going through and reading through them all because some of them you would never realize exist. So if you are going for a specific, specialty, maybe you only want condos, you want to add in the building type. What's really, really popular lately, we've got a lot of people who are doing global searches. So these tabs along the side, first off the bat here, it's going to give you every single category that exists inside of Realist. But if you're trying to break it down, you've got the owner information, local information, characteristics, listing information. All these different tabs will break it out. So you can go into owner information and you could see owner foreign country. This is one we just did at the global summit. So we added that in, and you're able to pull anybody whose tax record shows that they live in whichever country it may be. Maybe you speak German and you want to go after the German market. This would be a great filter to add in there. Maybe, you are from Brazil and you really want to reach out to the Brazilian customers because you've done, foreign investments and you can speak to that. If you're doing a global market type thing, you can add that filter in, and I'll show you guys how that works. Another great thing to use is the owner occupied button. So if you are looking at, maybe you don't want to accidentally hit renters and you only want to hit people who are in their home. This is something that you can add in there. Or on the flip side, maybe you're looking to go after renters and tell people like, hey, stop renting, go ahead and buy a house. You can select that you want properties that are not owner occupied. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at this. What you have to do is sit down with yourself and say, okay, what customer base is it that I'm looking for, or what information and data am I trying to pull and explain to a customer, and how do I filter that down? Because there are so many different ways to look at the data and pull lists out here. All right, local information. So this would have anything that has to do with like the property addresses, the census block group. Maybe you're looking in a specific range, township, zoning, things like that. We have a lot of people that call in and they're like, hey, I want to market to just a specific subdivision. I live in Pelican Preserve and I want to send out a mailer to everybody that says, I work here, I play here, I live here. Subdivision is something that you can add in there. And that's, we're just talking from a farming aspect. This is also important from a data aspect. If you're trying to say, okay, in my subdivision of Pelican Preserve, how many people live in a foreign country? And that's just data that you're looking for rather than farming. These are different things that you can stack on top of each other to find those things out. It really does, you kind of got to get creative when you're looking for something specific like that. So characteristics would be characteristics of the property. Maybe you're the pool expert. You want to go after people who have pools, or you're trying to pull data. How many pool homes are there in our neighborhood? But it has all the little things that may be or may not be important to you. Air conditioning, bedroom, bathroom counts, construction type, parking type. And like I said, a lot of this is pulled from the public record along with MLS, and they're compared across each other. So you're getting more data than just what your realtor would plug into the MLS and trusting what they would plug into the MLS because it's pulling from that public record. Listing information, this would be based solely just off of what was put into the MLS. So if you're trying to pull data, or maybe, MLS status, maybe you manually want to go after expires, go ahead and plug in and
find anything that's recently expired. I know a lot of people pay for programs out there, but you certainly could pull a list from here and send out your mailers if you're looking for like a DIY way of doing that. And if we keep going down here, the assessor and tax information. So you can look at anybody who has like a homestead exemption. They do have the veterans exemption in here. So if you are a VA expert or you work with veterans regularly, great way to filter that out. For those who have applied for the exemption and figure out one, how many people have that exemption in your area, or to be able to pull that information for farming and marketing to those veterans. But you've got the homestead in there, disabled, senior, widow. For those of you that have your senior SR, I think it's SRES. If you've got that designation, you can filter out that exemption if they filed for it in their taxes. Just a great way to find those specific demographics. Sales information. So this is some basic stuff. Sales price. Maybe you're looking for stuff that's sold in a specific price range if you're going after specific prices. Sale date. You can add this on to these different things. So maybe you want owner of a foreign country because you're doing global, but if you add in the sale date, you want to say, I want anything that's sold 2 years ago or more, right? Because if they recently bought, we don't think that they're going to sell. The statistic is typically 5 to 6 years before they sell. You can add that in there and really get an idea of who you're going to go after. But the really cool thing here is they do have a sell score in there. So if you're using this tool specifically for farming, you can enter in that you want it to have a higher sell score. So it kind of does that work for you and figures out who's ready to sell versus who's not. And I'll show you an in-depth look of what a sell score looks like inside of a property report so that you can tell how to filter that out when you get to that. Foreclosure and distressed. So this has really, really cool pieces in it. It's a more of a granular detail than I've seen inside of like Remine or RPR. They put in what stage of foreclosure it might be in, what the posted date is. So you could come out here and pull it once a week and figure out, what the new posted dates are, distressed sales. So if you're trying to figure out from a data standpoint how many distressed properties there are in a given area, whether it's a whole city like Fort Myers or Cape Coral, maybe it's just your neighborhood, you want to pull that data, you certainly can using this. Or if that is something that you're specifically farming for, you can come out here, pull that list and go after those properties to get those listings. But I know that that's been a conversation piece for a while now, right? Because everybody's always worried that the sky is falling. So we're all keeping an eye on those foreclosures and the rate at which of what level they're getting to. So, if anybody in your neighborhood that you're specifically working or, any consumers are coming to you and saying, oh, the foreclosure rates are through the roof. You can come out here and watch those numbers, get an idea of like what the percentage really is. Is the sky falling or not? And answer those questions with hard data. And last but not least, mortgage information. So you can pull stuff based on a lender name if needed. It is filed in the report. It seems like a silly thing to filter by, but since it is readily available in that report when you're pulling a property, they've added it in there because every single field you can use to filter by. So I'm going to go ahead and up here at the top, we can see that this is a new search, not one of the ones that we've done before. So we want to make sure we add in a search type name. So we're going to call this our August class test. And when you're done, make sure you have your name for the list that you want, click save. If we just click apply, it's just going to allow us for right now to filter by any of these, but it will not be in this list in the future. So make sure that you click save. When you come back out here, if you want to edit any of your past ones, as you edit it, you can click save or apply. So we're going to click save and get that confirmation that the list has been created. And then we're going to click apply. And now when we scroll down here, we can see that all of our filters that we've asked for are down here. All right, so for this example, I'm just going to show you what some of the filters are, but we're not going to apply them. Again, you saw the long list of filters that you can add into this product. I've just chosen out a few. We'll work through them, see how they work, but most of these filters that you add in here work very similar. There'll either be like a pick list that you can choose from, or dates that you can enter, or some of them have like boxes. So if it was like sale price, you could enter in the price in a range, but most of them are going to be a pick list style or a box like this for your filters to be added. All right, owner of a foreign country. This has a long list that you can select from. So clicking into it will open up this list and it has all of the countries in here. So for our example, I said maybe you are from Germany, you speak German, and so you really want to connect with the German market. You can come out here and select that country, and you'll see as you select stuff, it adds to here on the side. You also could select all of these and then deselect which kind of, if you wanted to see how many people overall are, from like a foreign country, if you're trying to figure out how many foreign investors overall, you can click select all and it'll add everybody in here. Just depends on what kind of data you're looking for, or what kind of farming you're looking to do. You also have in here some of the different ones we added in here, owner occupied. So we can say yes or no. So for this one, maybe we want to go after people who are physically in the home because we're just going to send it right to the house if we're doing marketing. Subdivisions, all of these are fed in from the property record and MLS. So for this one, we're going to search for Pelican Preserve, and we see that all the different ones from Pelican Preserve are in here. Because they have I always use them as an example because I'm sure you guys see communities that, they've got like two different subdivisions or they don't have subdivisions, it's just one community. But Pelican Preserve, when we start pulling the data for that, always gives me a headache because I am like, holy crow, man, they've got so many different communities. So if we just chose the specific communities and subdivisions that we wanted, we could go through that. We can say select all, pull anything that's Pelican Preserve related, and click apply. And it'll add all of those in there for us. Some different things that we have in here, sell date. So we could say that we want anything that is in a specific range. We could add sell scores in here. You could choose is between, is greater than, or is a specific score. It's the same for sell date. So right now we have the sale would be between this date and that date. But if you want something that's, well, if they just bought the house, then I don't want to send them a postcard. You could say is greater than, and then select a date that was like 5 years out. So what's today? We'll do 8-4-2020. Ooh, they're buying in the hot of the COVID era. So you can decide, do you want it to be in a specific range, but make sure you look up here because there's a lot of little settings inside of each filter. And then another fun one, foreclosure stage. So is it pre-foreclosure? Is it auctioned? Is it already bank owned? You can choose multiple, or you can only choose one, depending on what it is that you're going after from a data standpoint. Distressed sales. Is it distressed? Yes or no? So that would encompass all of the categories, short sale, foreclosure, all of that. So aside from these filters that you're going to add here, whether it's a quick search, maybe you're pulling all of Cape Coral, you just plug that in, or you've gone ahead and you've built out this very specific curated search that's meant for you. Once you've done these filters, there is also a lot of filtering that you can do here within the map. So if you chose a subdivision, you probably won't need to draw onto the map. However, now I'm going to go ahead and clear this for you guys really quick so we can see just from a map perspective, because my eyes aren't going to find Pelican Preserve that quickly. So in here on the map, you can also apply filters by drawing, which this works very close to the tool inside of MLS. So if you've drawn a map before, same thing, you could do a circle, rectangle, polygon. The polygon is really great. So if you live, like, let's say Cape Coral, and you don't have a subdivision, but you still want to just figure out for a specific neighborhood, you can draw parameters around. This one's sloppy, but you get the idea. I just click down and figure out my very sad looking whale Pac-Man looking shape here. You can draw around exactly what you want and just pull the data within here. So if you think about it, you can pair map searching with this. So I could draw parameters around my specific neighborhood, and then I could add on the foreign country filter and say, okay, in my neck of the woods, in my area, how many foreign buyers or sellers, owners, how many do we have? How many distressed sales are there just in this square? So you can filter it from a address or city or neighborhood perspective here, or you could filter it by the map here. Aside from this drawing tool to pull the data, you also have a lot of different filters that you could add on top of this map. The city lines, the zip code lines, the school zones, um, the flood zones. We know that's a really, really hot topic. And all of these can be added in here. And it's really good for, maybe you're new to the area. And I know some other realtors cringe when we say that, but we're a transient area. We've got a lot of realtors that are moving from out of the area to ours. And sometimes the codes can be really, really confusing. So if we come down here and we add in the city limits, we'll give it a second to load. There she goes. You'll be able to see the city limits. So Fort Myers, Cape Coral. The zip codes are always really fun in Cape Coral. So we'll add those in and we can see the zip code map. And then for those of us that absolutely hate it, but our area is very, very popular with the geocodes. So we just did the cutover. They're building out the geocode map again, but your geocodes will be listed in here as well. And here's that lovely filter that nobody likes to talk about, but there's our flood maps. So you could apply those on top of it and it might help you like draw out exactly what it is that you're searching. Lots of different things that you can add on top of there. We also have for the premium maps, if you upgrade, you can add in these and it will put these filters on top of every single property dot. Instead of just filtering by it, it'll mark them on each square of that property. So this will allow you to put pings on the map instead, so you can either filter by them, or if you're looking for a visual representation, you can do that. So if we go ahead and click short sale, it will give us little purple pings. Let me zoom in here. We might not have, there we go. It'll give you little purple pings where those short sales are. So depending on what you're looking for, whether you just need data, you're going to use that filter over here. If you're looking for a visual representation, you can come over here and use this to pull that. We also have trends. So the sales price, aggregation level from a neighborhood, property type. Again, like if you're the condo queen, you can add that in as needed. And then you can choose how see-through it is for that. That might take a minute to load over top of the filter we've already added here. Moving on, you can add in points of interest to the map. You can also put in driving directions that will show in over the map. Maybe you're creating this to send to a specific customer to give them an idea of the area. We also have a location on the map. So points of interest would be, driving directions would show you one point to another point. This would allow you to put different addresses in here. So maybe you've got a customer that's saying like, we want to look at this specific neighborhood, but we want to know like how far is it from my mom's house and how far is it from his dad's house? Well, you can put those points of interests here and show them on the map. Maybe it's work, maybe it's, whatever it is that you need, you can put points of interest on the map there for them. You can also use this measurement tool here and it'll show you distances. Let me try that one again. All right, so it'll show you distances that you'll be able to pull up on the map, and then clicking into them will give you the distance for that. So this helps if they're trying to figure out, like I said, how far away is mom's house, or maybe they're trying to figure out how far away is the bus stop, anything like that. That's another filter that you can add on to the map. And then you can also add notes onto the map as needed for specific things. You can really customize this out, whether it's for a customer, maybe it's for yourself. Like I said, this is used one for data, two property reports, three marketing. So however it is that you might need it, that is there for you. And then you can also change this out into the view. So right now it's in roadmap view, but if you wanted to see it in a satellite view, you can do that as well. When you start adding filters onto the satellite view, it does get a little squirrely with your eyes. So I use roadmap a lot more, but it's there for whichever you may need. All right, so enough with the 100 different filters I've just filled your brain with. We're gonna go ahead and clear all and clear all, and we're gonna pull a quick search. Use our polygon tool without too many filters added. Clicking too many buttons, we all do it. All right, we're gonna look at this area and we're gonna click search. So in doing this, again, you can add in as many filters as you want, whether they are map filters or they are category filters. This is going to pull a full list for us, and it's going to show us all of these properties that are now in this ping are down here below. And it's going to show us the status as well. Most of them are going to show up as sold. You can see it's still kind of loading all the way through. But this list could be 1,000 results at a time. So I've reached that max. But most of the time, you're going to have this filtered out with your demographics of what you need in here. Do know that it pulls 1,000 at a time, so you might need to do this in blocks. With all of this information down here, I'm going to show you guys how to pull this information, whether you want it for farming and marketing. And then we're going to go into a specific property and look through the data on that report. So in here, you can see that everything automatically comes checked off. And if you need to, you can shrink the map and expand that list just by grabbing this bar here and moving it, or vice versa. So as you're working through it, maybe at the beginning, you'll want to like look at the map more while you draw out your shapes and figure out what you need. And then when you're ready and you've got your table, you can move to this view. You can also change it between the list view and the tile view here. It'll pull in those images based on what's available from public record and the MLS. But with all of this data, first and foremost, if you are pulling like a specific list because you're just trying to find out information, like I said, for one of our examples today, you want to figure out how many people from Germany own in your neighborhood. When you pull your list, the matches will pull down here. So if you were to like pull Pelican Preserve and then say, owner is from Germany, it would tell you, hey, you've got whatever the number might be, 32 people. That's how you're going to pull the data to get an idea of just the numbers here. And maybe you apply 3 different filters. Like we've got 32 people from Germany and we've got 54 people from Brazil. And this is, overall what our foreign investment in the neighborhood looks like. And that's just one example. You may have something in mind already that you're looking to do. Maybe it's people with high mortgage rates or whatever it is, the aspect that you speak to in your neighborhood. That's going to be the data point right here. And then if you're looking to export this, make sure you've got everything selected that you want selected. Up here allows you to select all. If you need to deselect anything, you can. There are multiple options down here. So first and foremost, you can do a customized export or a quick export. So quick export is just going to give you these fields here. And this is going to export into an Excel spreadsheet for you. So it's just going to give you hard data, right? It's just giving you that spreadsheet for you to do what you need with it. Customized export is going to allow you to really figure out exactly what you want in that Excel spreadsheet and what order it's going to be in. You can print this list if you just need a quick list of, maybe somebody's looking for a list of all the German owners in the neighborhood, or whatever it is that you might need. You can print that list really quick. You can email this list to yourself, but the one thing that is pure gold out here is the labels. So clicking this button will create a label sheet for you. You can select which Avery label you purchased before it'll make that sheet for you, ready to go, ready to print in that format that you choose. You can use all capital letters or mixed case. And then this is the really cool part. You can use the tax billing address or the property address. And you might be saying, okay, what's the difference? Tax billing address means, well, yeah, I own 123 Main Street, but as far as the tax record is concerned, I actually live over at 3000, I don't know, 32nd Ave. So if I use the tax billing address, it's going to mail to where the owner actually lives, right? Where they have it on the tax record that they live. And if you're doing like foreign, or if you're doing distressed properties, you really want to make sure it goes to the tax billing address and it's getting into their hands, and not one, wasting away in a mailbox at an empty house, or two, going to the renter who's not interested in listing the property to begin with. So you can have it show the current owner name, include foreign addresses. If you don't check that off, that, because you have to pay different postage for that, you can have that deselected. Eliminate duplicate labels. So maybe there's somebody in the neighborhood that owns a lot of different properties. It's going to eliminate it so that they only get one postcard. We see that a lot in like condo complexes. Investors will come in and maybe buy like 5 different condos, and you only want to mail to them once. This will do the work for you in eliminating the duplicates. And then you can create a custom label. So this would be, instead of showing current owner, you could just say future customer or current owner, or anything that you can think of that would be creative, but make sure that it will get through USPS on that. Make sure you look that up for that. Um, so then you could use all remaining to export, or you could choose a range in which to export, because you do get 12,500 a month. And God bless if you are using more than 12,500 a month and mailing out that many labels. I'd love to see your marketing budget, but yeah, that's your monthly allowance here. All right. So, and if you are using some kind of special label system and you don't, like, you've got something that's differently formatted, that's why they do have the option here to export into the CSV. And then you can look up a quick YouTube on how to turn a CSV file into labels if you need that. But the cheat sheet right here is in the labels. All right, if you guys have any questions on like how to do the farming part of it, how to pull and export the records, use that Q&A and let me know. But for now, we're going to take the next step, which is the deep dive into a property record so you can see all of the information provided. So to get into it, I've simply double clicked here on that record. Another way that you can do this is from the map feature as well. Let me zoom back in here and not make everybody way too dizzy. You also can click on a property record, and on the ping, it will open up the quick details, and you can look at some of the quick features on here. But and then if you click the report button, it'll open up that property report just the same as it would clicking on this list. So a few different ways to get to it. All right, so looking at the property report for this specific property, you can see that it's telling us what was MLS information and what is public record information. If it did have two different fields, maybe LIPA saying it's a 2-bedroom, MLS is saying it's a 3-bedroom, it would put those side by side. It is displaying MLS because it is verified, it is correct inside of what matches to LIPA. So a lot of different tabs running here across the top, and a lot of information going vertically. So first and foremost, we've got the property details here. This is owner information, community insights, which is really, really cool. If you've got buyers that are kind of trying to figure out the area, it's really hard to give people demographics while also making sure that you don't go outside the lines of fair housing, right? And I shouldn't say it's really, really hard. Fair housing should be easy to follow, but we're always so cautious, right? Because the buyers are always asking questions that are just on the border. They're like, well, what's the neighborhood like? What's the demographic? What's the education rate? And you're like, oh God, I don't want to answer these questions. I don't want to be in trouble with fair housing. And that's fine, because you want to be the source of the source, right? You don't want to be the actual resource. You don't want to be giving out information that could be incorrect or that violates anything. So coming out here using tools like this says, here, this is what the record shows. It's not my opinion. It's not my thought. Here's a printout that comes right from a data source. So community insights give you an idea of the crime rate, the schools, the lifestyle, any trends. And we will get to it in a minute. The neighborhood profile is also really, really good neighborhood insights for those questions.
And I highly suggest you just make it a part of your practice. If you're going to provide it to one person, provide it to all. Really, really good insights for them to have when they're, new to the area or making that big move. It can be scary. Location information. Again, this is a lot of tax record information. The tax information on the property, if you click into this, it will bring you into the correct site for the property appraiser. So most of the stuff that we look at is Lee County, so it comes into Lee County Property Appraiser. If it was a listing in Collier County, it would link into that site. It puts the strap number in there so you can click search and utilize their actual site. A lot of us just refer to Realist though, because the layout is a lot more consumer friendly than the LIPA site, but that's also a matter of opinion. All right, assessor tax information. It's showing you the 2024 numbers, 23 numbers, and 22 numbers side by side so they can get an idea of what to expect for the tax information. Characteristics of the property. This is great if you're putting in the listing. I can't tell you how many times people call us and they're like, how am I supposed to know what the measurements are for front, back, left, and right? Well, it's right here. The lot shape and size is right here so that you can find that information and plug it into the listing because it is required. A lot more information, roof material, exterior, floor covering. Again, this is all stuff that's in the LIPA public record, but it's here for you to easily find, especially if you're doing that listing input. All right, features, the irrigation system, building description, all that fun stuff. Here is the super awesome cell score that everybody gets really excited for. I suggest that you have one of these listings open to look at what they use for cell score numbers if you're trying to filter, right? So we could put in the filter before that we wanted anybody who had a cell score in between a certain number and a certain number. Or we could say, I want somebody who's got a cell score of, maybe it's like we look at these numbers, we want the people who are high and very high. So we would say anything that's like 600 and up. And we would get all the high people, figure out how many people in our neighborhood are ready to sell. But this gives you a good idea, especially if you're having a conversation with somebody, you can see if they have a high cell score or not. And this is an algorithm that is pulled in based off of behavior, movement, how long it's been since they sold. They've got a lot of different data pieces that they buy into to be able to give you this score. And an important thing to point out, we talked about in the beginning that this Realist program is provided by Cotality, who was formerly CoreLogic, right? So they are the developers that build out MLS and Matrix, but Cotality is in a lot of different spaces that people don't realize. The Matrix program and tools like this are for their real estate industry, but they also have technology and programs that are inside of insurance programs, appraiser programs, all stuff that is real estate related, but in different aspects. So they are using every single data point to give you analytics and insights like this, where other companies might have to like buy into analytics. They have a lot of it right there firsthand to be able to provide you these insights. Estimated value here and how confident they are in that AVM that they've given you. Rental trends, it's always really hard. Like we can find this stuff on Zillow. I don't know how accurate it would be, or any kind of site. We can find what people believe that the estimated value is worth. But rental trends, I don't know. We don't see that as often. And I think that's really, really cool for them to be able to provide and show the cap rate and the standard deviation for those of us that have ever sadly had to take a statistics course and know how to utilize that. Really, really cool insights. All right, previous listing information from when it was listed here and all of that pulled in. The sales history on it, mortgage history, sometimes that could be really hard to find. And then this is a visual representation of some of that data above, right? We talked about the lot measurements and those are required to put into MLS. And a lot of us struggle in trying to figure out what the lot size is. It's right here on the map for you, so you can pull it up inside of Realist and fill out your listing input that way. Moving tabs, comparables. You can pull comparables into this. Select which ones you want. You can see it automatically does it for you based on what the system believes are the most comparable, but you can edit this yourself and generate a report. So in here, they don't really call it a CMA. It doesn't say it's a CMA, but it's a basic general CMA. So if you become like a true realist lover and you're working in here all the time, go ahead and use this CMA. We've done CMA classes here the past couple of weeks. RPR has one, Remind has one. You've got one built into Matrix that's going to get a facelift soon. But then again, if your filters that you need and want only exist inside a Realist, you can utilize that here and generate a report based off of the ones that you have selected down here. Market trends for this specific area and neighborhood, which are great if you're going to a listing appointment or, consult, having those conversations with buyers before buying. They're trying to figure out, is it a good time? Is it not? Really, really cool. This one is pulling it based on the zip code due to the fact that it is in Cape Coral. It's automatically pulling it for that zip code in that property, and it's showing us for what we have in July so far, but you can go back and maybe you want to get a full month, so we go back and pull the statistics for June. And you can toggle in between some of this stuff. You can see like this box, you can look at just MLS data and then just tax data, which is kind of cool too. If you're sitting down with your sellers, you can say, here's the difference between people who didn't use a realtor and did use a realtor, because it's either on the MLS or it's not on the MLS. But most of those boxes have that filter there so that you can toggle between the two. Open this up when you're sitting there with your sellers. Neighborhoods. So in here, we can see that this is kind of like the tool, if you've ever used it before, called Nosy Neighbor. Gives you an idea of what the neighbors have going on and the difference between your property and the neighboring properties. A lot of times when we sit down with customers, they'll say, well, yeah, but my neighbor, okay, well, let's sit down and get a real idea of what you're looking at around you. Neighborhood profile has a lot of data on the demographics of the neighborhood. Again, to touch point, this is really, really good to have to give to your customers to avoid any kind of fair housing violation. So if they start asking you questions about the neighborhood, the demographics, what the neighborhood's like, what the neighbors are like, go ahead and hand them this data without having to have the conversation, because then it's not opinion. It is straight up data that is provided from the census and pulled in from public record. Lots of cool stuff out here though. The median age, the population, you can see what the population growth is. We see a lot of that out in Cape, right? Especially if we're looking at like North Cape. Um, the marital status, that might be important to your single buyers. It might not be. Female versus male demographics, the housing. So is it mostly vacant? Is it mostly owner? How many of them are rentals? That's a question a lot of people ask. They're like, well, I don't want to live around a bunch of rentals. You can look at those percentages and kind of gauge the neighborhood based off of that. The turnover rate, this is not just cool for your buyers, but also for you. If you're looking for a neighborhood that has a high turnover rate, because that means more sales for you. If you're trying to figure out what neighborhood to start marketing to, you can look and figure out if the turnover rate is high. They've done, a lot of us used to go in here, we would plug in the sales, we would plug in how many properties there were, and we'd have to figure out the turnover rate ourselves, but they've done all of that math for you. Fair market rents, quality of life is always really, really interesting. They've got the blue collar versus the white collar. The industries that they work, is it, are there a lot of people who are in construction, wholesale, retail? It would be cool if they could break out real estate so we could figure out what neighborhoods we want to move to next, right? Like how saturated is the neighborhood with realtors already? I don't want to wake up every morning and see somebody else's sign outside my window, but you've got the different ones out here. Your household income breakdowns, commute method, weather, which is, I don't know, we're Florida, we're all getting that same heat. The education levels and the schools, that's also a hot topic. Local businesses that are in the area for going out. So you're eating and drinking, you're shopping. So all of that stuff that is going to be important when somebody says, well, what's the neighborhood like? You can pull this report and send that over to them. All right, a lot of tabs here. So the assessor map, if you wanted to look specifically at what the county assessor map is, you can download that here with that quick button. Flood map, another hot topic, will show you exactly where that property is. You can zoom in, zoom out, but we always say be very careful when having those conversations because mortgage company to mortgage company or insurance company to insurance company, it could be different what they regulate and what they require. And you don't want to be the flood expert because you're the real estate expert. So do make sure that they're having those conversations with their insurance provider before they make any kind of big decisions. Because if you tell them something based off of a map and it's not true, you just don't want that liability. But it is here because everybody's visual and they want to see like how close the next zone is. Is it encroaching? What do they have to worry about in the future? That is there for you. Hazards and risks. This is an additional report that is basically very close to what was explained to us. It's very close to what the insurance company is going to pull. So that's why it is an added one. This is what they have in their insurance space for their other products, but it is available to the realtors for an additional $9.99 per report, and it has all kinds of stuff in here. Um, I know some of us look at it and laugh like earthquake and fire, those are the other states, but it's a national tool. So it's providing every single piece of that to you. If you wanted to buy a additional report for the hazard report, kind of get an idea from an insurance standpoint, or, maybe they're trying to, insurance is telling them one thing, they believe another thing. Just a cool feature that you can add on. The premium neighborhood reports as well are an add-on, and that is going to be way above and beyond what you're getting in this neighborhood profile. And there are all these different features that you can add in there. Last but not least, the building permits report. This is really used a lot by our builder clients, our new construction clients. Um, it gives you an idea of the job value status and permitting, things like that. So these last three tabs here, those are add-ons. Everything else that we looked through today, um, from doing the search to pulling labels to all of these tabs up here at the top, that's all included for you with your membership here at Royal Palm Coast Realtor Association. Really, really cool tool. There's a lot that you can do with this. Going through it, I know is a lot for your brain in 1 hour, but hopefully you have an idea of what it is that you want to accomplish. Do you need more data? Do you need more information? Are you looking to farm? Are you looking to do all three? So Realist is here to help you out with all of those features. I say, so that you get comfortable with it, like we say with most tools, go out there, play around with it. You can't break it. All you can do is pull a lot of data, and get yourself comfortable with it so that when it's time and you do need to use it, whether it's you want to send out postcards, or buyers or sellers are asking questions that you're trying to find in there, you want to be comfortable with it, ready to rock and roll. And as you play around with it, if you have any questions, because I don't see that we have any Q&A, so hopefully, since we don't have any Q&A, I just either covered it all and not totally confused you guys. But, as you play with it, if you get stuck, you get lost, you have a question, please do call in, email in. We're here for you guys to help you out with any of these tools. And let's see, it looks like we have a question. Oh, just a thank you. You're welcome, Mary. So until next Monday, if you need us, you know where to reach us. And hopefully we'll see you right here at 11 a.m. next Monday. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.